Just let your soul glow.
Welcome to the Soul Shift Sessions podcast, where we dive deep into transformative conversations that empower you to elevate your mindset, break through limitations, and create the life you truly desire.
Hosted by Coach Sapphire Starr and Coach Kyle McCloud, this podcast is your go-to source for actionable insights, inspiring stories, and expert advice on personal growth, financial freedom, and living with purpose.
Each episode is designed to help you shift your mindset, overcome obstacles, and embrace a life of abundance and fulfillment. Whether you're looking to transform your relationship with money, enhance your well-being, or unlock your full potential, the Soul Shift Sessions will guide you on your journey.
Welcome to another episode of Soul Shift Session Podcast, where we have deep, transformative conversations to help you transform your mind, to transform your life. I'm your favorite freedom and financial life coach, Coach Sapphire Starr, with my favorite co-host,
Kyle McCloud.
Yes, and we're so excited to be here with you with another Soul Shift Session episode. So you want to start a podcast?
Yes. Now, I don't know exactly how this is going to be transformative, but I'm sure it will be because it's not.
Absolutely. I believe there's someone out there watching our podcast thinking, man, I would really love to start and begin a podcast, but I don't even know where to begin, where to start. And I believe by the end of this video, they will at least have a foundation to be like, okay, I think I can do that. If nothing else, I hope by the end of this podcast that you will see the possibilities of it. And that is where the transformation and shift happens in the mind, is that, oh, this is possible. Let me begin the journey.
Yeah. I will say that there are certain aspects of media. Am I saying it right? I think there's certain aspects of media that I think of when I'm just even doing the editing that I try to bring into this podcast. Like, for example, we have an introduction, right?
Yeah.
And our introduction is already like recorded one time, used over and over again. However, the only reason why I had the introduction is because I used to watch TV a lot. And the shows had a whole introduction. And what's interesting is you don't really see that anymore, right? Because if you take any of your shows, they start the show, you might get a 10-second introduction after like something crazy's happened on the show.
Yeah.
And then they go right back into the show. So they don't give the introduction as much credence as they used to. You know, there was a time where you could sing the whole theme song to your favorite show back in the day.
And where you come from. Yes. And my favorite is Girlfriend. Did you know Angie Stone was singing that?
Yeah. I didn't know it at the time, but I knew after she had passed that she was the singer on it. Yeah.
What? That's what I learned. I was like, what? That is, rest in peace, Angie Stone. Like, such an amazing.
Could not believe that.
Artist.
That was
That's
heartbreaking, is what that was.
Very much. Now, before we get into all this technical stuff, Kyle, you jump right into the technical.
I know. You know, that's what I bring to the table. That's what I bring.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that, guys. Like, okay, thinking about when you're getting started, where to get started, all the things. But let's just take it. Let's go all the way before we even get to
you want to go
all the way back to almost a year ago.
Picture this. 1965.
Another theme song that's going to pop up in my head. Thank you for being a friend. Back again. We have no chill. This is why this work, guys. Listen, whatever, like have fun. Whatever you do in
You better
life,
have fun. You better have fun.
don't take it seriously. Just
Yeah.
have fun. Set pictures and have fun.
Yeah.
So okay, picture this. June 2020 something. What year are we in? Okay,
We're
24.
2025, so we met in 24. Yeah.
We met in June of 2024
Mhm.
and at Lisa Nichols Speak and Write to Make Millions.
Yes.
To impact and transform millions. And as a result of us meeting this event, I
Yes.
reached out. I believe I reached out to Kyle. I always do this as an introvert. When I meet people and I'm like, oh man, this is a really dope person, I always
Yeah.
follow up because in these events, these conferences, these networking events, it's really
Yeah.
hard to really get to know people on a deeper level. And so I always send out
Mhm.
my little Calendly link and say, hey, it was such a pleasure to meet you. Let's get on a call. And that's what I did. And that's how our relationship and journey began. And
Yeah.
then
One day I called you up, was like, we should start a podcast.
And guys, without blinking, without hesitation, I said, of course, yes. Now, you may think, wow, that was easy, straightforward. However, what you don't see is a seed that was planted up until the point, and this is something about setting your intentions about what you want in life.
Yeah.
And way before I ever met Kyle, like I love podcasts. I love watching podcasts. I have been a guest on a couple of podcasts. Shouts out to my cousin who started a podcast many moons ago. Speak Up Sis. And I'm just like, wow, this is so awesome to do this. And I'm a big NPR fan. So I have been talk radio way before podcasts were even a thing. I was obsessed with talk radio. So in my mind, I was like, man, I would really love to have a podcast, but I do not want to do it alone. I was very clear to the
So you
universe,
want to
the
do it
Lord,
alone.
whatever. I said, I'm not doing it alone. But the seed was planted. I was like, that would be nice for me to do that. So of course, when Kyle was like, you want to start a podcast? Yes.
And what people don't know is I was hesitant to even ask you in the first place because you were talking about doing a podcast with someone else that was at the conference. And
Yes.
that was supposed to be your thing. Y'all even had a good title and everything because you both had interesting names. And you were like, I ain't heard back from that dude not one time. I said, well, and what did Biggie say? I think he said there's a line in One More Chance where he says, as soon as he buy that wine, I just creep in from behind.
Give me one more chance, Biggie. Biggie, one more. And really, guys, this is how our journey began with intention, with less like using your words, open mouth, don't get fed, asking the question and be like, all right. But then it's like, okay, what's next?
Right. I know that when I called you, I had just a rough idea of what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to create a place where people who already have a platform or they're building a platform, a place where they could go and feel safe enough to have the conversations and also direct attention to their platform, so that way we all start to grow and win together. So I knew I wanted that to be a component, and that's where I wanted out of our guests. We already knew that we have a ton of different types of people in the Lisa Nichols campus. So we had a whole pool of different types of people to choose from. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't like my last podcast experience, which the person who was the host for that, and I was the co-host, I would still do a podcast with him, but I would make sure it's done the way that we do it, so it's not like a ton of pressure. Back then it was like record and get it out all the same week. And it was too much to try to do all those things in one shot. And technically we are recording and we are getting out the same week, but what we're getting out the same week was something that was recorded a long time ago. And that was
Absolutely.
helpful.
And for me, what I was thinking, just like when we were brainstorming and coming up with ideas, I'm a person that if I have a name, if I have an idea, and I also have my why and purpose
Yeah.
and goal, the why I'm doing something, I can reverse engineer it. And so for me, it was very important coming off the Lisa Nichols campus and speaking of transforming others, transforming ourselves to transform others. It was very,
Mhm.
very important for me to have a platform where we can share our stories. Our guests can share their stories
Yeah.
to empower others to live their best life. So for me, I was like, man, I would really love that. And they were just riding the wave of that high of continuing to share our story to empower others. And
Yeah.
my business is called Organized Chaos, which is an oxymoron, but it very much describes my life where it's like, okay, it looks crazy, but a little applied effort, a little applied energy, a little structure to it. That's how I function and thrive in it, and so it was
Yes.
important for me, like, okay, and my time is very important too, so it's like, okay, how can we be efficient? Because 'Cause we're both entrepreneurs. We
Yeah.
both have many other things going on, and
Absolutely.
you may can relate to this, like, "Man, where do I find the time to do this?" And so
Yes.
this is why and the goals of your podcast come into place because guess what? Things happen, and we're very, very busy people. So it's important for us to make this important, make it a priority. And I believe having the ability to empower others really helps us navigate the ebbs and flow of our podcast, which we're going to get into because things do happen. And
Absolutely.
one other thing before we get into that, I'm really big on our brand, what people take away from this. So it was important for me for us to have a website for people to go to. It was
Yes.
important to create the logo because to me, that's creating the vision. Even before we even started the first podcast, we had a website, we had a email, we had a landing
Yes.
page, we had domain
Yes.
name. So we had all these things because it's like, oh,
Yes.
okay, we're really taking this serious. So to me, that helped with jumping out there and starting our first podcast.
Well, and the other thing is in the previous experience that I had, I did not have someone who brings as many things to the table that you are bringing. So, for example, the social media side, you handle the social media side. You're the one who set up the email. You're the one who set up the website. You're the one who set up the logo. You're the one who, like, there's so many things that you did. And it freed me up to just stay on the technical side of things, right? I got a chance to figure out what platform we're going to use. What's the editing tool that's going to be used? How is this going to be set up? And when is the editing going to be done? And you just kind of let me stay in that area. Whereas before, we were not necessarily doing all those things. We didn't have a website. We didn't have an email. It was. Oh, actually, I think we did have an email because someone else was like kind of responsible for producing the show, although they didn't really like produce the show. Like I'm the one who had to do all the editing and give a final product, and then he had to just kind of put it out there. And so you basically were taking what someone else was doing and just building on top of it and putting all kinds of stuff on there so that everyone kind of knows. And so I think one of the biggest things, and you said this, you said you did not want to do it alone. And there are people who do podcasts. They might be the only on-screen talent,
Yeah.
but they're not doing it alone.
Yeah.
The person who I can't remember his name right now, but it's like the Diary of the CEO. Fantastic podcast. He has a team.
Yeah.
So with that, I think that if you're going to start a podcast, I do believe it is a very lonely road if you try to travel that by yourself. I think you need at least one other person with you to pick up
I
the
do
areas where you lack.
Yeah, I do believe it. Just to kind of piggyback on what you said, like, I believe we complement each other
Yeah.
so well. Like, Kyle is so amazing with the technical stuff, and I don't want to be. I
And
don't,
that's it, right? Don't want to be.
and I'm okay with that. I'm okay
Yes.
with staying in my lane. Could I do it?
Yes.
Probably. Do I
Yep.
want to do it? No.
Nope.
Like if you have a
Nope.
partner, and if and also too, like even if you didn't like, if team scares you, if all these things are like, I don't really know. Listen, it's just me and Kyle right now. So even if it's just you, and you're don't let not having someone else stop you if this is really what you
Yes.
want to do, but just having in mind that, okay, being able to delegate certain things, even if it's like, oh, let me get someone to do my editing if I don't know how to do editing. You can go to websites like Fiverr and different
Yep.
type of platforms to find someone to do the editing for you. If you want somebody to
Dang,
set
I
up,
want someone. How many times have I said I want someone to do the editing like I don't like doing the editing, right? I
yes,
like it,
like, yes,
but I
but
know
eventually,
how.
right, eventually we're going to get to that point where we are
Right.
delegating. So even if you're getting started, just be like, hey, I always say keep it super simple. Just keep it super simple. You don't know
Yeah.
what you don't know, but once you're in it, you're like, oh, I need this. Let me figure out how to get this. So
Yeah.
if you want to just set your intentions, set your goals, create smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound, and educate yourself as much as you can and
Yep.
make it happen. Make it happen.
I'd like to add to that. Work in your area of genius. And here's what I mean by that. You're familiar with Uncle Nearest whiskey brand.
Yeah, the whisk. Mhm.
And the owner, her name is Fawn Weaver. And Fawn did a post like last week about why she was able to really get the Uncle Nearest brand name out there. And was talking about how she had a talent over 30 years experience in doing press releases. So she used her talents in the press release world to outplay the other people in her market because
Ooh.
they have to hire someone or have a team member to do that thing that she's been doing for 30 years. And her message was staying in your area, or at least sticking with your area of genius and using that to propel you to the goals that you want to reach. So understanding what you do, like I know for a fact that I can use this editing platform. I know for a fact that if you show me a brand new editing platform, I'm at least going to be able to learn it enough to be able to do what I currently do now, regardless
Mhm.
of, what it is. And you also have your own talents in certain areas that, yeah, you may not want to do it yourself, but you have the skills, you currently
Yeah.
have the time, and you have the ability to do those until you can hire someone to do that. And so I think that understanding what you can do, doing those things, and then having someone, and I don't care if it's a family member, I don't care if it's a friend, or if you're following your advice of going on Fiverr, but if you don't have the ability to do a particular area, get someone to help you with that area because everyone has different gifts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How did you I have a question for you when we're talking
Mhm.
about editing. What are you looking for? First of all, what editing platform we're using, but also what are some things someone that wants to get started when it comes to editing platform that you are like, you know what, these are non-negotiables. I need this in editing
Yeah.
software.
Well, editing has changed a lot over time. And one of the things that I have to have now is the ability to work on the transcript, to edit directly from the transcript. Because back in the day, if I needed to do a transition, which is simply like maybe it's fading out one scene and fading up another, right? That's a transition. And back in the day, I have to find the exact spot in the video to and insert the
Wow.
transition, right?
Wow.
That in itself takes time because you are constantly moving the needle back and forth to try to figure out what's the right spot. But now and we're currently using Descript. And what Descript has is, when we upload the video, it transcribes the entire video. And it combines because, you have your own video, I have my own video, and it takes those two videos and combines them into one thing so that you have a full transcript of back and forth between you and I. And it is 1,000 times easier to see a spot of text and know that that's where you stop speaking and that's where I'm putting in my transition. I can visually see it as opposed to having to go through some video to find it. Words matter. And so the non-negotiable for me is being able to have an editor that allows me to edit based off of this transcript rather than the video content.
Great advice.
Major one. Some other tools that I find that Descript has that are very useful, although you may disagree a little bit because it doesn't like your high pitched tones, right? Like it cuts you off. It's limited, right? It's not 100%, but it has this ability to make it sound like you're in a studio. You're currently in your home. I'm currently in my home. We have background noises, and Descript has the ability to just at the flick of a switch, it'll make it sound like we were in a studio with no sound, with no other outside sounds. To me, that's invaluable. And another feature that Descript has, and a lot of these editors have it, I just haven't got a lot of experience with it, but is being able to knock out my background so that I can put a virtual background in. Very, very helpful. As a matter of fact, I got a chance to do one for you, and you were like,
I love it. I absolutely love it. Because some people may
yeah,
be thinking, and I don't have any place to record. Like I'm on my
yeah,
laptop right now. Kyle is on his laptop, and I'm in my bedroom, like in one of my
right,
Airbnbs. Like,
right. And if you look at our previous episodes, you could see the challenges I was having with backgrounds, right? But then when I learned about, oh, this background that I have doesn't have to be a permanent background, then that's wonderful. I mean, right now, if I gave you a look behind the scenes, and I'm talking to audience because Sapphire can see my background in real time. Like I have a backdrop. I have a white backdrop. Sick. I have it set up. It's very close to my head, but it gives the editor the ability to say like, all right, I want to knock that out and replace it with this virtual background. And a lot of times people don't even realize that when they're looking at podcasts, that sometimes they really are looking at a virtual background and don't even realize it because nowadays technology is so good that you can go into Canva, use an AI tool to describe what kind of background you want. And Canva, like, here's 4. Would you like? You like them? No? Here's another 4. Right? Like, and until you get what you like. And so, and then once you have what you like, now there's your background, and then you go through the process of putting it in your video. And it's so much easier nowadays. Now, don't get me wrong. The scripted, I'd be ready to fight plenty of times. Right? Like we be ready to fight because some of the errors that I get don't make any sense for me to have these types of problems. But nonetheless, it's still at the moment, unless I find something better, it is the editor for me.
Yeah. And we're considering exploring, what is it, Riverside? What's the name of the other one we're
Right. Well,
considering?
Riverside, I think, is the only one that we're considering from a recording standpoint. Because I would still use the script to edit the recording, but because the makers of the script felt that they wanted to put everything in one platform, the editing and the recording. And they've got the editing down pat with some errors, right? With some challenges.
Yeah.
But the recording needs a lot of words. And if it wasn't for that, and the platform we're using right now to record this is called Squadcast, which is owned by Descript. But they are planning on removing this platform called Squadcast. And once it goes away, you are left with just the Descript platform, which is the editor and the recorder. And gang, we said this offline. You guys didn't hear it because you weren't here. But just because you had a successful season 1 buys you nothing for season 2. We lost 3 episodes.
Yeah. To start the
3
season.
at the beginning of the season. And now we
Yeah.
are playing catch up because the recording side of the script had an error that we did not even discover until the editing process, which was weeks ago. Like, we recorded it weeks ago. And now we're finding out that even though I can see you and you can see me, that it wasn't recording the video. Even though it's
Yeah.
telling us it's recording, there's no sign of problems. And yet, like, gang, in real life, what do you do when you have a problem that you don't even know when you have a problem?
That's a whole nother podcast. Like, just in life, you don't even know you have a problem. So where do you even begin to solve a problem you
That
don't
you
know you
don't
have?
know you have.
Exactly. And
Yes.
just speaking of, you named the script, we talked about Riverside, you talked about Canva. I want to talk about some other tools that we also use to help us make this magic happen.
Yes.
We use Chat GPT. Listen, that's your friend. If that's your only assistant getting started, if you don't have anyone else, use Chat. That will help you with your
Yes.
podcast. I promise you.
And
you
get a
topic-
paid account. Paid account
Yeah,
for ChatGPT.
yeah.
You know, like, it's $20 a month.
I don't have a paid account.
I know, but your boy does. Your boy does.
But still use yours.
Right. But I mean, the thing is that you said if you don't have an assistant, then use ChatGPT. And the reason why my advice is get the subscription for it is because it will learn things about you, and you can program it to know certain things about you. And so that way, as you continue working with it, it is constantly evolving. And so if that's your assistant, you want your assistant to know you.
Yeah.
And that's where the subscription comes in handy. You know, mine knows me so well that, and I don't know if I told you this, but last week, and I did do a social media post about it. I would love for you all to comment because I'm very curious. But I said, pick a hero and a villain. Could be Marvel or DC, but you got to pick one of each. And which ones are the most like me? And it chose Batman for the hero because I'm always strategizing. I'm always trying to figure stuff out. You know, you all know, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I will hide things on the inside from an emotional standpoint. You know, like, those are things I still dance with, and it's very aware of that. But the villain surprised me because for the villain, it chose Magneto.
I was thinking that was gonna be my villain.
It said, not a villain, just misunderstood.
Oh wow, that is so me. Because when you were asking the question, I know you're asking chat, but I was like thinking in my head who I think would be like my superhero / villain.
Yes.
I could think of a superhero, but I definitely went to Magneto for the villain.
For the villain
Just
side. He
instantly.
is so passionate about his people. He's very passionate about his people, and he will put everything on the line for his people. And if you are not his people, you are not his people.
Exactly. I love that. So Chat GPT, guys, I also just take advantage of social media to help you, because what good is a good idea if no one knows about it? Like, if a tree fall in the forest, does it have a sound? If no one knows about your platform, no one knows about what you have, then it's really hard to get the message out there. And so I use social media to help promote and market our podcast. And one tool that I use to help chop up our long form videos that we put on YouTube to short form palatable clips for people is an app called Opus Clips. And it's an AI generated tool where you just simply upload your platform link, and it automatically chops and screws it into short form videos. And you have the control, you have the ability to do, like if you just want to do 5 to 10 seconds, if you want to do a minute, you have the ability to do that with
Yeah.
different editing tools inside of there. Definitely, I recommend. And they have a free trial if you want to try it out and see if it's something that you like. We do have the paid subscription, but we first started with the free trial. Really, really great tool that we use. I'm trying to think, what else do we use? I use Direct Me for our landing page, another
Yep.
free tool. Went to GoDaddy.com to buy our domain name, and we just use a Gmail for our email account. And also, last but not least, and this is something that be open to growing with your podcast. When you start anything really in life, because a lot of
Everywhere,
times
bro.
ego gets in a place and you think when you start, you're supposed to already be at the finish. That's not real life. You
It's
got to
real life.
start somewhere and you
Right.
got to get to the end destination, but it's going to require growth. It's going to require learning. It's going to require tripping and falling every now and then.
Yes.
But just
I don't
go
like doing
in.
things messy, but messy
Yeah.
is what you're gonna get.
Yeah, because you're just getting started. You're in the
Yes.
learning process. So just be really open to the journey. And Kyle said this all the time. The joy is in the journey.
Yeah.
Like, just get started and just take your
Yeah.
time. And we use, right now, our podcast is only on YouTube, right? This is a free platform. Most people don't know that you can have a podcast on YouTube. Yes, you can have a podcast on YouTube. Eventually, we are going to put our podcast on other streaming platforms like Apple and Spotify and Amazon. But right now, again, we were like, okay, let's keep it super simple. Let's not complicate it.
Right.
Let's start with this,
That's
and then we will.
important. And build on top of that. You know, if you look at our first few episodes, I'm not gonna say they look janky, but they look a little janky. Just a little bit. Not on your side though, Sapphire. On my side, right? Because I was still figuring out how I wanted it to look in the first place, you know? And so, but over time, it's like, especially in my editor, it's like, oh, I never saw this feature before. What does that feature do? Oh, it makes my life a little bit easier. Oh, we're going to use this all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so those are the things, like, you start adding. Like, I love the fact that you're like, well, we're going to add Spotify, we're going to add this. It's because you don't have to do it all in one shot. You can just start adding pieces to it. And when you add those pieces, I think we want to ask ourselves, is it going to help the podcast move forward? And if the answer is yes, then I think that that's a good criteria to be able to say, like, I want to add that piece. But the other thing is that piece that you're adding, is it going to tremendously affect your process and timeline in a positive or negative way? Because if it's going to affect your timeline and your efforts in a negative way, you might have to see, like, all right, is it really worth doing that? You know, is it really worth it? And if it is, great. But if it isn't, you might want to say, great idea, but no, not right now.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can't say this enough. Just have fun with it. Like, we really, guys, just to be transparent and just be real, honestly, when we started this, we were like, listen, if no one else is empowered and transformed as a result of this podcast, we are. And to us, that's success. I firmly believe, and I've been hearing this message in this over and over again for the past couple of weeks, is set a goal that stretches you, right? For necessarily what you achieve, but what you become as a result of setting that goal.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of all of this. The greatest value of a goal is not what you do, but who you become. That's my
Let me
quote,
tell
by the
you.
way.
You'll just jump it in there. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So when you talk about the goal, and our goal was to do 24 episodes, I think, in our first go round.
Yep.
And that goal stretched us in a certain kind of way, right?
Yeah.
But that very same goal for season 2 is stretching, at least it's stretching me in a completely different way, because it's the fighting for consistency. I'm always telling people, be consistent, be consistent. If you're going to record every week, record every week. If you're going to record every 2 weeks, stick to that goal of recording every 2 weeks. And you and I have this thing where we record every week, but life is lifing right now.
Yeah.
So you take the combination of the losing of the 3 episodes, then my life is just, these past 8 days have just been bananas, between like stuff in the household, and then I have my aunt who's passing away, and it's just like life is still lifing. So getting up and getting on the platform and doing the recording is stretching in a different kind of way, because it's like, do I really want to record today? No.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm fighting against this. It's not like fighting against mediocrity, because I don't think that that's accurate, but it's really fighting the I don't wanna. Pushing through the I don't wanna, because that will come up. I don't know if it's come up for you in the past, but there are times where I don't want to was just a little feeling. Like, you've heard me saying, like, I can't think of a good reason not to record. So, like, we're going to go ahead and do this because I can't come up with a legit reason. But I have legit reasons this week. Like, I have real legit reasons. And it's like, let me go ahead and do this, because there's probably something on the other side of just going ahead and going through it. And I never really understood, like, professional athletes, like when they lose someone that's close to them and they go and play the game that same day or that next day, and get out there and they perform and they just do it. And part of it is probably therapeutic for the person. Getting out there, doing whatever your job is, whether that's football, basketball, singing, right? There are performers who will get up on that stage, and people have paid, and they're not even like, oh my God, these people paid like hundreds of dollars and made this way to come see me sing. I don't even think that that's present for them. It's like, let me go out there and push through this moment, and let me leave it all out on the floor for the ones that actually are my people.
I absolutely, and honestly, like for you, it started like probably more than 8 days, because your aunt passed away.
No, she hasn't passed away yet.
No, your wife.
My wife's aunt. Yes.
You have been this.
Yes.
In the situation in Atlanta, there was a lot like leading up to, and still is. And like Coach Kyle said, life is gonna life. And so it's important. That's why I believe there's important to have some type of structure, but be firm, but also be flexible, because life is gonna life. But when you do have some structure in place and life start getting kind of crazy, you're like, even when you don't feel like it, because you have this thing already in motion, it kind of moves itself along. Your body's like, oh, well, this is what we normally do. This is what I'm accustomed to. It doesn't require as much energy and effort if we didn't have any structure in place, because you already are running on fumes. So if something requires you to apply a lot more energy and effort than you normally do, you're not going to do it. So the thing is, we've been doing this for almost a year. So it kind of like lends into itself when it's time to lean in. It doesn't feel as much as work, because we're so accustomed to coming on here and doing the work that needs to be done. Even with us even with losing the episode, it's like, okay, things happen. We're going to record. That's what we do. And then after recording, Kyle is going to edit. After he edits, he uploads it onto YouTube. I'm going to promote it. And there's a process, but because we've been doing it, it doesn't require some newfound effort, energy that we have to muster up.
You're falling into the process. We're
leaning
into the process. Yeah.
You're leaning.
I can't let this one thing go, though, which is what's the word that I'm looking for? You gave grace. And that is something that you were giving that I wasn't necessarily trying to give myself.
Mm.
Right. Because it's like, all right, we got to record. We got to get this done. And it's like, and then I have like my whole process here of just setting up for the podcast. And I'm like, I think even last week, I was leading in the process. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to go ahead. I know this part goes here. This goes over there. Like, I know where these things go. I'm going to physically do them.
So out.
I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
going to vacuum the rug like I normally do. And then I don't know what was said, but you were the one that was like, hey, listen.
Are you for? Yeah.
Why are you forcing this?
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. And
Yep.
one thing too, when you talked about players or people that perform or entertain or put themselves out there for the world to be a part of their lives, to be transparent. I know for me, when I lost my uncle, that was like my father, what helped me navigate through probably one of the most darkest times of my life was this thing called legacy. Was this thing where it's like, man, what would my uncle want me to do? And my uncle, without a shadow of a doubt, will want me to live my best MF life. He
Right.
wouldn't want to just be moping around and crying and like, obviously, we're gonna grieve. Don't get me wrong about that. You're
Right.
gonna grieve, and grieving
Yeah.
doesn't go away. Like, it's been a
Right.
while. It's been 10 years since he passed away, and I still have moments. But in that particular moment when it was happening, he was in the hospital because it was like it happened so quickly. It was like, man, I am doing this for my bloodline. I'm doing this for my uncle. I'm doing this to show the world, like his blood run through my vein as well. And it's like, man, I'm gonna live my life to the fullest to continue on the legacy of this man who has been such a huge impact in my life. And so that's what really gave me the courage on some days, or even the energy on some days, just to push and press through.
Legacy is important. I mean, when I think about my aunt and all that she has achieved, and then when you look at my cousins and the grandchildren, and just like this, they are the product of the life that she lived, And
Yeah.
so, and same thing, like, I don't think that she would want me to just mope about when she knows that, like, I put a product out there that is actually out there to help people. She wouldn't
Yeah.
want me to just, just not do that because, and again, like, I thought on Saturday was the day that I would be saying goodbye. Here we are. It's Tuesday, and that body is still holding on to that spirit, so I'll be back there today.
Yeah.
I'll do my work day and then I'll head right back over there, and just be with my family. And maybe today is the day, maybe it isn't, but we'll see.
And honestly, that can be for any of us. Yes, your
Mhm.
aunt is in hospice, and yes, someone said this, but honestly, that can be for you and I. That could be for our listeners. Today could be the day. That's why it's important for us to live our lives to the fullest. If you want to
Yeah.
start a podcast, start a podcast. If you
Yeah.
want to start your business, start a business. If you want to take a trip,
Right.
take a trip.
Right.
Just because today could
Right.
be the day.
Right. If you got somebody you want to tell them you love them, tell them.
Tell them, like, today could be the day for any of us.
So you want to start a podcast? I would say right now, if you are going into the transformational realm with podcasting, it is an opportunity to be transparent, to be real, and to actually live your life and let people get a glimpse of what that's like. And
Yeah.
it is, I mean, it's for us, you all get a chance to hear for somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour of what our lives are like. But outside of that hour, there's all kinds of things that are going on. I mean, I told you earlier today, I said we had an episode about what to do when stuff hits the fan.
Go check out that episode.
Right. I got to check out the episode because I don't remember jack from it. Jack. Because life is lifing, and it's just like right there in front of your freaking face, and you can't even like see the the advice that you gave to other people.
How you transform someone else, every now and then we have to do our own inner not every now and
Yeah.
then. We have to do our own inner work to be
It's
transformed.
it's rare that you get an episode where either of the hosts are dealing with it in the episode. A lot of these episodes we've had have been based off of experiences that we've experienced in the past. And so
Yeah.
we're talking about things that we've experienced in the past and what we came up with from being on the other side of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's rare that either host is living it in the moment and still and bringing everybody in on that. It's very rare
Yeah.
that happens.
And now this is actually happening in real time. Like
In real time.
we're on this journey with you to support
Yeah.
you, to encourage you, to motivate you, inspire you, and transform you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just
Yeah.
keep moving, and I'm going to say thank you to you because, there are times where like I'll reach out to you and I'm like, today is the first day I had to force myself on the bike.
Yeah.
I've been cycling since 2019, and this was the first day that I had to force myself to, like, I was just in the bed,
Yeah.
bed. And like, I was supposed to go with the guys, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go with the guys because I'm pretty sure that I will be a danger to myself and others if I go there. And if Patrice goes, well, don't you think that you should go with the guys? Because I'm like, look, I have to be alert for myself and them if I go out
And them.
there, right? Like, I have to be alert, and I am just not there. She's like, yeah, but don't
Yeah.
you have to be alert by yourself when you out there? Like, she's concerned about me being out there by myself and not
Hey,
being
someone
alert.
gets
And somehow,
you.
right. And so I'm like, no, it's better. Because like me, I know that if I'm by myself, I know what route I'm going to take, which will be a relatively safe route that I can check out
Yeah.
and know that I'm in a place that put it this way, if something would have happened to me in those safe zones, it don't matter whether I'm alert or not. Because, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like that it's always an adventure when I go out there. It's always an adventure, and you never know what's going to happen. Like, for example, they're doing construction on the road and my bike lane is tore up, right? It's there, but it's like the layer of asphalt is off it. So it's like, it's just vibrating, right? And you don't know how long this is going to go on, but you keep going, And then, later on, I go see someone. There's this lady at the, who's a manager at this gas station that I go to. I've been seeing her for years, right? So I always go, we speak, and she shares what's going on in her life. I share what's going on in my life. And then it's like, all right, see you next week, or see you in a couple weeks, and so on and so forth. And then the wind kicks up. And it's not like a breeze. It's like Wizard of Oz, right? We're not in Kansas anymore kind of wind, right? It's just blowing everywhere, and I gotta force myself through it, and so it's like from a representation. This is why I always try to take those rides and like compare them to like bumps in the road, wind, that's just blowing every which way. Now I really wanted a peaceful ride. I was already dealing with stuff up here. Like, I just want to be able to go out there, do my little 50 miles, call it a day, right? At least I move. But universe and other things in store. You gonna
Life.
get this, you gonna get that, you gonna get all these things while you out there.
Yes.
So
yes. And how do you navigate it?
And how do you say I'm going to put one pedal in front of the other?
There you go. There you go.
And
There
I
you
won't take a
go.
break if I need one.
Right.
I need a break, we'll take a break.
I absolutely love that. And like you say, what a great metaphor for life. We're going to go through things but life is mostly how we perceive it, but also how we respond to it, because things are going to
Yeah.
happen. But
Yes.
the choice we have in it is how we are going to navigate and respond through the ebbs and flows and ups and downs on the other
Yes.
side. So it's all about perspective. So thank you so
Funny because
much
like when
for
you
being.
go out, when you go out, you
Yeah,
expect it to be smooth as pie, right? You expect everything to be so easy.
yeah. And if it is, great. Like
Great.
that's like
That's what I want. That's what I want.
this is what I yeah. But what's the lesson? What's the lesson when it's not? And that's why people like, you win, you lose. I'm like, no, you win and you learn.
Yes.
You win some and
Yes.
you learn some.
Win
Who are
some
you?
and you.
Yeah, who are we becoming? If you have any questions about our podcast today, or what are some things, if you want to start a podcast, what are some questions you have for both myself and Coach Cal to help you get started? Please put it in the comment section. We are more than happy to help. Most of the time when our guests come on here, they're like, oh, I want to start a podcast. How do we get that? Was really the motivation to do this particular episode. So put it in the comment section. We are more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Remember, sharing is caring. If you know someone who needs a soul shift, please share our episode. If you would share our Soul Shift Sessions podcast right here on YouTube. If you would like to become a guest, be a special guest on Soul Shift Sessions podcast, please go to our website at www.soulshiftsessions.com and fill out our form to become a guest. If you want to join the tribe and learn and stay up to date to what we have going on, also go to soulshiftsessions.com. Join the tribe. Any final words, Coach?
My final word is a quote because, it seems like that's what I've been doing lately. So here is my quote. Freedom from the desire for an answer is essential to the understanding of the problem.
Trim drop. I love that. And with that, guys, always remember to let your soul glow.
So long, everyone. Thank you for being
Bye,
here.
guys. Till next time.